Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back. Obviously, as you can see today, we're going to be flying our PMDG 777. It's going to be a FedEx flight. We're going to be flying from Phoenix over to Memphis. Now, that's the 777 starting up. I've got it on ground power right now. I've got GSX getting ready to load cargo. You can see the pilot's walking over there, which is actually interesting. You see him walking over right here. The GSX level 2 or whatever is the one that's supposed to have the walking passengers and pilots and so on. I don't have that, so I'm actually really surprised to see those guys walking in there, so I'm not sure what that's all about, but hey, cool. Anyway, real quick, I just want to throw out another update. I actually just posted a video yesterday or the day before, but I got some time off work still, so I want to get another one made as soon as possible. But as far as the fundraiser goes for building a new PC, it's moving right along. I really appreciate everybody who's donated so far. Once we're done and we do the PC build, in fact, some of you have said you want to see a build video, you want to see me building it, so I think I'm going to do that. I'll figure out how, and when I get ready to build it, you know, I'll post that video. But in that video, I want to take the opportunity to publicly thank everybody who's donated. Now, I mentioned this in the last video that I did. There are some folks who don't want their name used. Keep in mind, I'll only use first names, but there are some folks who don't want their name used in the video, and that's just fine. I'll respect that, and I'll just keep them as anonymous donors. And I won't be telling how much anybody donated either, because it doesn't matter. If you donated $1 or $100, it makes no difference. If you donate to the cause of me building a new PC, you absolutely deserve recognition for that, and so that's what I'll be doing. If you haven't had the opportunity, you haven't seen the video, if you're interested, real short version, this PC, I've got it working right now, but it's got a lot of issues. I'm having some serious problems with it, and it's time for an upgrade as soon as possible. And obviously, you know, building a new PC is not cheap, so I've put the word out there. Any of you that are able and willing to help, there will be an email address in the description of this video. Send me an email, a personal email at that address, and I will send you the information for my PayPal to donate, and that's how we're going to do it. So don't mind the extra noise from the carts pulling up. We'll just let them pull up for a second. I think you can change the sound levels on GSX. I might do that. But anyway, enough about that. Thank you so much for everybody that's donated. And again, I will do a video that takes the opportunity and the time to thank everybody individually once all of that is done. Okay, so like I said, we're flying Phoenix to Memphis today. I've got the Flightbeam Phoenix airport, and I installed the Memphis airport. And I remember we flew into it a few times. I believe it was in FSX when we flew into it. It's the Memphis airport from FS Dream Team. I've got it loaded in here. Frame rates look fantastic. And I really wanted to get a flight in this 777 because I just love this aircraft. So I did ask down in the comments of the last video. A couple guys said 737, a couple said 747. Somebody threw in a 787. I don't think anybody picked 777, but I picked 777. That doesn't mean I don't care what you guys put in there. Excuse me. Wow. It's something about talking on here. I always end up having to cough or clear my throat. But anyway, it's not that I don't care what you guys put in there. I just decided I really wanted to fly this 777 for the next flight, so I'm going to do that. Now, we are going to be flying on A-Cars today. This is going to be the Mac Air A-Cars. For those of you who don't know, I started a virtual airline with a friend of mine called Mac Air, or Millennium Aviation Company, several years ago now. I think it's been about 4 years. The airline's doing pretty good. The guys running it are doing an amazing job. I pretty much stay hands off. I'm not really running the show, but I do show up there. I haven't been there in a while, but I'm there today, obviously. And I am technically still the CEO of the airline. But you know what? All the props, all the shout outs go to the guys who are running things over there at Mac Air. They're doing a beautiful job. If you haven't had a chance or you're interested in looking for a new airline, it's very different than the rest of the virtual airlines out there. We have different divisions You can fly for any of those divisions. One of them is an open division, lets you fly anything you want, anywhere you want, anytime you want. We got cargo division, which we're flying today. We've got a professional division, which is really strict and regulated and very difficult, and so on and so forth. So check it out if you get a chance. macairvirtual.com. I'll try to remember to put a link in the video description for that as well. Head on over, sign up, give it a shot. You know, in the end, if you don't really like it, it doesn't cost you anything anyway, right? Okay, enough talky talk. I think what we're going to do here is we're going to hop on the flight deck. We're going to fire this thing up. GSX will take its sweet time, but we're going to get fired up and we're going to get rolling. Actually, we're not going to roll really anywhere except down the taxiway and runway. We're going to fly from here to Memphis. In case you didn't know, this is flight simulation. All right, here we go. All right, welcome aboard the flight deck of our beautiful 777, one of my favorite aircraft of all time. I love flying this thing, and I just really love the flight deck on this aircraft. So this is going to be a good time today. I'm looking forward to it. Let's go ahead and jump into our pre-flight checklist. And let me see here. We're going to start with our block fuel load and verify. We've already done that. We're at 54,409 pounds of fuel. I actually added an extra 1,000 pounds from the flight plan. You guys know me, I tend to do that just in case. Although I have to say, I've been trying to be more careful about making sure my profiles and stuff on PFPX are accurate, and it seems like my fuel has been a little more accurate as well, so that's nice. Payload as well, I've gone ahead and loaded that. Our total cargo today is 206,801 pounds, and if you guys are unaware how to do that, just pull up your FMC down here. From the menu, go to go to FS Actions, and then you do fuel here, payload here, doors, all that stuff, and you're good to go. Okay, so we've taken care of that. Let's move on. Parking brake is set. It has to be in order to start ACARS, which I have done. Battery switch needs to be on, which it is. We're on ground power right now, and the battery is on right here. Primary flight computers, this guy right here needs to be closed or armed and guarded, or auto and guarded. And so if you right click right click when it's open, you'll see when we do the emergency lights, and that closes. Right or left, I don't remember. Thrust asymmetry compensation needs to be on auto. That's this guy right here. APU gen switch needs to be on, which it is. We are not going to start the APU right now. We're going to stay on ground power just because. All right, we don't have passenger seats, so we don't have the IFE thing here. Cabin utility needs to be on, however. That's this guy here. It is. And just so you know, I put the aircraft in cold and dark and then attached ground power. So everything that you see on here is how the PMDG default cold and dark has the switches. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I just went with it. Left and right bus tie switches need to be to auto. That's these two right here. Left and right generator control switches need to be on. That's these two down here, and they're both on. They'll say off, which makes sense because, again, we're just running on ground power. Backup generator switches need to be on. These two in the middle, same thing. APU selector switch start and then on. And again, we're not going to actually run the APU quite yet. Okay, nav light needs to be on. That has to do with the APU. I'm going to turn it on just so I don't forget later when I do the APU start. But once you run that APU, you're supposed to turn your nav light on. Now, my friend Alex sent me an email, and he said it was driving him nuts that I was using the strobe light before I got on the runway. So I'll try to remember not to do that. I apologize, Alex. No strobe light until we get on the runway. So I'll try to remember that. Moving on, logo light as needed is daytime. We're not going to turn it on. Cockpit lights, we don't need any of those as well, or either. Emergency exit lights armed and guard closed. So if I left click the switch, it goes to armed, and then left click the guard to close it. So it would be right click to do the opposite. Left and right pack control switches need to be on auto. That's these two right here, left and right packs. And then the ADARU right back up over here needs to be on, and that's your IRS for this aircraft. And then we go to FMC initialization. So one of the things I'm doing, and it's for ease of video editing, is I'm trying to do each little video portion as a portion of the checklist, right? So that won't always flow properly, but from pre-flight to cockpit preparation are two different checklists. Now, FMC initialization is on the pre-flight checklist, but I'm going to roll from that right to cockpit preparation, and so I just what do you call it? Oh, I just pause. Yeah, I can't think right now. I paused the video for just a second and then changed the view, obviously, and then we're going to go into FMC initialization and then roll right into our cockpit preparation checklist, which you should have already seen pop up by now. Okay, so we jump down here, FMC initialization, click on FMC. It says enter inertial position, obviously, right? So go to position initialization. You see that it's blank right there. Now, I understand the first thing you're supposed to do is put in the reference airport. I don't think I did that for the longest time, but I am now. Now we'll go to the next page and we're going to grab, let's grab this ARM GPS position, and then and they're the same. So if you click on this line select key, no, maybe this one, no, yeah, there we go. So you click on this line select key, it puts it down here in the scratch pad, and then you click on this line select key to put it in there, and then it's going to finish the boot up, if you will, of the IRS system, or in this case it's called the ATA route. Okay, and so that rolls us right into that checklist we already saw, which is cockpit preparation. So window heat first, that's all the way up top here, they're all on. This one's kind of fun. Primary left and right engine hydraulic pump switches on. Primary left, primary right, they're both on. Primary C1 and C2 electric hydraulic pump switches off. Primary C1 and C2 off. And then left C1, C2, right demand hydraulic pump selectors off. That's these four down here. Alright, so that's all your hydraulics set up. Okay, no smoking and seatbelt signs on if they're not already. We just put them on auto. We don't need a no smoking sign because it's a cargo aircraft. EEC mode switches are normal. That's these two up here. They're both normal. You might not be able to really read that, but it does say normal on there. Engine start selectors need to be normal as well. 1 and 2, they're both normal. And then the auto start switch should be on. This is one of the easiest aircraft to start. Left forward fuel pump pressure light should be off. Well, it's going to go off if I turn the pump on, but we're not running the APU right now. And I think even if the pump is off with the APU running, the pressure light should be off, but I don't know. We'll try to remember to take a look when we get to that point, right? Or the light, there it goes, it came back on. I thought it was just going to stay off. Engine and wing anti-ice auto as needed. Anti-ice is down here. We'll leave it on auto, we don't need it. Equipment cooling on auto. Brain fart here. Where's equipment cooling? Right here. Auto. It's just a button. There's no Gasper switch on this one. Gasper switch is in the passenger version of the aircraft. Recirc fan switches need to be on. They are. Flight deck temperature control selectors auto as desired. That's all of these guys right here. Continuing on, left and right pack control switches auto, which they already are. We did that way back over, yeah, we did that in a pre-flight. So anyway, left and right trim air switches are on, both of these two here, which they are. Left, center, right isolation valve switches are auto, these three here. And then you've got engine and APU bleed air switches on and auto. All right, pressurization panel set to auto, that's these guys here, which they are. HOTAS has been obtained. I hate how the sound goes away. Right now we're looking at the wind 0905 knots with the altimeter at 2983. Fantastic. Okay, moving on. Now we go into the FMC programming. This is actually a little easier, if you will, in the 777 from PMDG. So we'll go to route, and then we're going to go route request 777, and it's going to be the Phoenix to Memphis 09. That's the one we want there. Request it. Now it's going to send the request, and then it'll ding at us once the request is there, and then we'll load it. So there's the request sent. I kind of like the way it does this, and it'll do most of our FMC stuff for us. We don't actually have to do very much in here. There we go. So we'll load that route. Maybe. Oh, route 1 uplink loading. Okay, there's the route. Origin, destination. Runway right now is going to be 08. Try that again, 08. And the flight number, I have to look over here, is, I put it in the comment section. I put it at? Performance initialization uplink is good. I'm just popping up my A cards real quick. So the flight number is FDX 4819. So FDX 4819. There's our flight number. And activate, execute, performance initialization. You can see that it already put the information in here for us. Let's see. It looks like it actually put the information in based on, no, not on the flight plan. That's the fuel we put in, 0 fuel weight, reserves. Reserves are a little high. We're scheduled to have about 14,000, so I'm going to put this at 12 just in case we come up a little low. See if it lets me change it. And then once I've done that, I'm going to accept it. All right. Oh no, it changed it. Wind data uplink ready. I forgot how to pull up that information. It's not on the thrust limit. Isn't it on the route? Let me see. No, that's just our route information. Lakes page. It's not going to be on that either. I don't remember why. I just completely drew a blank on that for now. Yeah, see, it says insufficient fuel, and that's because right now it's saying that we're going to probably have 15.3 left at Memphis. But let's go back here to performance. But you can see the reserves are at 19.1. So I'm going to put the reserves at 13 like I wanted to. That'll stay this time. And then we'll go over to our thrust limit page. It's going to be a normal takeoff with a normal climb. And then our takeoff page, flaps are going to be 5. Center of gravity, left click once, left click again. It puts it in there, it tells you what your trim needs to be. And then I don't think it does the takeoff gross weight. It does not. 147, 154, and then V2 at 163. And if you click that again, it just goes back to the thrust limit page. I'm trying to remember, I apologize that I can't seem to remember. Oh, there we go, wind uplink. There we go. All right, so let's see if it loads it for us. Descent forecast uplink ready. Execute. And then if you click on it, it tells you what the wind is going to be at the different altitudes there, right? Pretty cool, huh? There's the next waypoint and so on and so forth. And then let's go back here, clear, and then descent forecast. Let's load it. Haven't done this in a while, as you can tell. And then there's our descent forecast. And then you can, I guess you can forecast it again, or you can just click on the forecast. Okay, there we go. All right, enough of that. There's our takeoff reference page, and that takes care of our FMC initialization. It took a little while, mostly because I haven't done it in a while. But as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You don't really have to do much. You just click, you just click on the links and whatever. I don't think we have. Do we have our departure in? Runway 8, and we are taking the Broac 1. So Broac 1. And we're taking that out to Maxo, so that'll be our transition there. Execute that. Now if we go to our legs page here real quick, we can see, so this is going to be vectors, I believe, and then to Sparky. Actually, let's do the good old-fashioned, pop it up here and put this on plan. Zip that guy up, that guy there from side by side, and let's step through. So it actually looks like we're just making a very slight right, straight out to Sparky, onto Broac, top of climb at Foothills, Juniper, Joshua Tree, I don't know what Maxo is, CNX, which is a VOR, TXO, ADM, all the way down to Lit, and then we don't have our arrival in there yet. We can go departure arrival index, put in our Memphis arrival, which is going to be the Condor 3. Next page, there we go, Condor 3, and we can transition onto that at Lit, obviously. Execute that, and then if we go back to our legs page, there's Lit right there. step through, and everything looks pretty good to go. So we're all set on that. Fantastic. Go back to our takeoff page on that one, put this back on map, and now we can set up our MCP. So, oh, excuse me, auto throttles are already on, flight directors need to come on. For our altitudes, I have not checked on any altitude restrictions yet. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm just going to leave that at 10,000 for the moment, and then when I pause the video for a minute, I'll double check my altitude restrictions on departure, and then I will set that to any altitude restriction that's required. If I'm not worried about altitude restrictions, then I'm going to set that all the way up to 350, which is going to be our flight level today. What else? Heading, runway heading is 078 if memory serves. There we go, 078, which is about the direction we're pointed right now. And then once again, we had 163 was our V2, so we're going to set this at 168. That's V2 plus 5, and I'm good to go with that. And then you should be able to hit your LNAV and VNAV. We can, so those are armed and ready to go. And that takes care of our MCP. Flight instruments are good with no flags. Auto brake needs to go to RTO. That's this guy right here. Just roll it down one. Comms are good. Transponder, we need to take care of that. So if we hop back here, you guys already know we're going to be on 2336. That's our transponder code. Since I don't use ATC, I know some of you are probably wondering, why isn't he using ATC? Because there's not a good ATC program, and don't ask me to use VATSIM because it's not going to happen. Okay, so 2336, and then we'll test it. So hit the test button in the middle there, and you can see it's going through the test, and then it'll tell us it's good in a minute. I'm going to cough in your face. Hold on.
TCAS.
All right,
test.
there we
Pass.
go. And that leaves us with two items, aileron and rudder trim. We need to make sure those are set at 0. Those are back here. So here's your aileron trim and then your rudder trim. And it doesn't show me anything, but I know it's at 0 because I haven't adjusted it. And then that'll take us to our taxi and takeoff briefing. So I'm going to do this a little different just because the way the checklist is set up. And we are going to do the taxi briefing right now. Alright, so we are down here at the South Air Cargo Ramp. Now, we're taking runway 8, which is all the way across the airfield. Now, there's two reasons I don't have issue with that. Number one, it is the longest runway on the airfield, which is probably part of the reason we're scheduled for that runway. But number two, I paid for the scenery, and I worked at this airport for, geez, 9 years. So I enjoy taxiing across the airport just to get a feel for it. So anyway, we'll pull out here onto Hotel, all the way down to Hotel 7 to cross 25 left, and then you're not supposed to cross in here without permission. We're going to cross over here at Foxtrot 10 though. We'll cross 25 right, 7 left, 25 right, and then we need to get over here on Tango. Now, not all of the AI aircraft use these taxiways properly, but when moving from south to north, it's the Tango taxiway. When moving from north to south, it's the Sierra taxiway. So we're going to stay here on Tango, and then we'll hang a left on Charlie all the way down to the end of Charlie 1, and that's going to set us up for our departure on runway 8. ATIS is going to be on 127.575. Clearance for Phoenix is 118.1. Ground while we're on the south side is going to be 132.55, and then we have to change to 119.75 as we go over to the north. And then for runway 8, our tower frequency is 118.7. Alright, that is going to take us up to our before start checklist. However, before we do our before start checklist, see what I did there? We need to turn on the APU. So you're going to right click once to on, second time to start, and that'll put it in back in the on position. And then if we jump down here, this will tell us when the APU is on, but if I remember correctly, if you go to the status page, yeah, there it is, status page. I'll pop that up for you. So there's the APU right there, and you can see we got it up just as she started to spin up there. So let the APU get up and running. And while it's doing that, we should be good with GSX. Let's look at our before start checklist here. We haven't closed all our doors yet. So let me pop this guy up. We need to close the main deck cargo door. Go to the next page. We need to close cargo forward, aft, and bulk. Those are already closed. And then let's just double check, make sure that park and brake is set, which it is. Let's go to our ground connections. And well, we can't remove the wheel chocks yet. We need the APU to finish booting up, if you will. And it'll tell us on here, it'll say APU running, and that'll mean we're good to go on that. So we'll just give that a second here, any day. There it is, APU running. Now we can disconnect the power and we can remove the wheel chocks. And let's just double check those doors. So those are armed. Main deck cargo door is still closing. There it goes, it's finally closed. Those are all closed as well, and so we shouldn't need this anymore. So let's go to the FMC, put this on the progress page, shrink it down, and what do we got next? Okay, so cabin and cargo doors are closed and armed. External power and air is disconnected. Right electric demand hydraulic pump selector, that's up top here, needs to go to auto. So right, I just had a brain fart. Right electric demand hydraulic pump selector, that's this guy here. That one goes to auto. Primary C1 and C2 electric hydraulic pump switches go to on. That's these two here. And then left electric demand hydraulic pump selector goes to auto. And then the C1 and C2 air demand hydraulic pump selectors, which is these two, go to auto. Alright. Left and right fuel pump switches all need to be on. I don't think we need the center switches. No, see, it says pressure when we turn them on. That means there's no fuel in those. Seatbelt signs are on. Beacon light can go on, not the strobe light. And then we're going to push the recall switch, which is going to be down here. Cancel recall. And that is going to take care of our before start checklist. Alright, and that's going to take us into our engine start checklist, and of course we need to take care of our pushback first. So I'm going to request pushback and departure. Yes, I want to request pushback. And let's see if they show up. Oh, he did. Oh, fantastic. Okay, so he's moving in there. While he's doing that, I'm just going to go over the procedure here. It's very simple. Secondary display unit, that's the bottom one here, needs to go on engine, which is that one there. Alright, and then we're going to announce engine start, blah, blah, blah. Engine 1 start selector will go to start, and then the fuel control switch will go to run automatically. So there's fuel.
Hello, Captain. We're ready for pushback.
Awesome. There's the fuel control switches there, and the engine start selector switches are these guys way up here. So this one we actually start with engine number 1, which is our left engine. So once they start pushing us back, we'll click that to start. And as soon as we click that to start, we'll come down here and we introduce fuel. Now, that's what I got based on the checklist. I don't know if maybe there's something wrong with that, because I know with all the other Boeing aircraft, you got to wait till it's either 15 or 20% on the N2. So I usually wait a couple of seconds, but you know, I've never had any problems with it. Let's see. Quick edit pushback. Okay, I've never tried this before. Let me see here. What do I do? Have you guys ever done this? I've never done. Oh, okay, I see. How do I rotate it though? It doesn't let me rotate that. Have you guys ever done that? Because I want it to come over here, right? But I want to rotate it, and if I click on that, it's just, I've never used this before. I don't know if you guys have used this, but if I right click, it just goes to the default camera selections, which I don't want to do. And obviously, well, maybe you don't rotate that. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me. Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. We're going to see how it works out. If it just goes to there with the nose, I've got room to make the turn, and I think we'll be good to go. So what do we do from here? Hit escape maybe? No, that's not it. Enter. Oh, that's not good. Oh, there we go. Hit number 1. Oh, it's paused. No, it's not. What is going on? Alright, well, I'm going to have to figure this out, guys. So let me pause for a minute and figure out what's going on with my GSX. Stand by. Okay, I've paused the sim for just a second because I figured it out. I had to look online. So apparently Y, the Y key, is what exits out of that. I was able to change the angle of the aircraft by moving the scroll wheel on the mouse. The only thing I couldn't do is I couldn't zoom in or out, so it's a relatively close pushback. But I just wanted to pause it because I think it's already starting a pushback. But when you go into that quick edit of pushback, you can change the direction that the aircraft is going to end up in using the mouse wheel, and then to exit that you use the Y key. So there we go. So unpause in here and park and brake. Are they trying to push? No, I guess that was just my imagination. Okay, so we should be getting ready to
Release parking brakes.
Yep, there we go. Okay, so I wasn't sure.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Okay, so we can start the engine. So we should push back with the tail to the right and the nose to the left. I actually like that because the only thing is I need to figure out how to zoom in and out because I wasn't able to do that. Like you see, he's turning immediately because I was at the max of my screen there. If I could zoom out a little, I could change it even more. But anyway, all right, moving up here. So we're going to start with engine number 1. I'm going to left click to start. Come back down here, and you can see the N2 is already coming up. So we'll introduce fuel and let the engine start up. And the pedals doing that is from the GSX pushback. There's our guy walking there. I'm just going to pop up my A cars over here real quick and make sure that the flight started. Yes, it did. Let's see. We departed an hour early. Oops. That's alright. I didn't change the sim time anyway. Okay, so you can hear engine 1 spinning up nicely. I do like that quick edit of pushback because it really lets me, you know how sometimes when it does the pushback it just doesn't put the aircraft where you want it. Now if I could have zoomed out a little bit, I'm not even sure it's putting it where I want it right now. I didn't see this line on the ground, so it's still going pretty far. This is a huge ramp over here, so I don't know if you noticed in my last video there was some of those default FSX style AI traffic. I figured out why that was because I use Ultimate Traffic Live, but I had also turned up the traffic on the default settings for the flight sim, and so that had put in the default aircraft as well, and those are just hideous. I don't like looking at those, so I turned that off. We shouldn't see them anymore. Yeah, so we're not on the line obviously I want to be on, but I couldn't see that line. So it'll be interesting next time I do that to try and really make sure that I get it where I want it. But I don't know if, honestly, I don't know if it's just because it couldn't turn it that fast or what, but because like it's just going and going here. Okay, well engine 1 is started. Let's go up here. You can see the start selector turned itself off. Let's do engine number 2. And you can see the N2's coming up, so we'll go ahead and flip that on. Yeah, I don't know if that's maybe GSX just can't turn that airplane that quick, to be honest with you, because that is a long pushback. Okay, I'm going to pull that up over here and stop here and complete pushback procedure.
Set parking brakes.
I wanted to make sure he was going to say that before I did
your
it.
Confirmation for good engine start.
Okay, so what he just said is give me confirmation for good engine start. Now that's new to me, but basically once engine 2 is done spooling up, I'm going to confirm to him that I have a good engine start. Now I looked in the settings and there is a setting to auto move on to the next procedure, but unfortunately when I did that, even on cargo aircraft, it wants to load catering service and all of that, so I did away with that. But anyway, confirm good engine start. There we go. I just pop it up on my other screen and do it just so it's not popping up in your face the whole time. Alright, we're going to wait on the goodbye from them. He's going to unlock now. Now let's go ahead and take care of our before taxi checklist here. Jumping up top, the left and right generator control switches need to be on and the lights need to be off. That's these two here, which is good. APU selector switch can go off. There we go. The engine start selectors should both be in normal now, which they are.
Unlocking here.
Left and right pack control switches should be auto and lights off. Those take a minute. So the lights...
Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed.
the last hour. The lights will go off here in a minute. So we'll just wait on those. Left, center, right isolation valve, switches, auto, and lights off. That's these three, which it is. And then engine bleed air switches on and lights off. That's these two here. Flaps need to be set, so we're going to go to flaps 5. So let me just hop down here and we'll just back her up a little bit. So flaps 1 and then flaps 5. Good to go on that. Stabilizer trim. I love that this is later on the checklist here, because otherwise I miss it all the time, right? So stabilizer trim is supposed to be 4.25.
Left is clear. Right is clear.
Alright, so we're clear for taxi. So 4.25, which is just a little bit higher than what it... So this line here is going to be 5. This is going to be 4.5. So that should be about 4.25. Unfortunately, I don't have like a little tool tip that tells me what it is. You know, it's funny because some of them it does, some of them it doesn't. So I don't know. But anyway, moving on. Stabilizer trim is set. Flight controls free and correct. So if we jump up here... let's see, right inboard, let's make that one flight controls. Where are you at, flight controls? So that's this guy right here. See how you can change it with this guy here. Alright, so full left, there we go, full right, and neutral, all the way up, all the way down. Is that right? Why does that look wrong to me? Let's pop that up real quick. No, it's the right direction. For some reason, I had it in my head. No, I guess that's right. We did left and right. Rudder full left, rudder full right, and neutral. Oh, look, stab trim, 4.25. I got it right on the nose. I didn't even know that was there. So good. I'll pop that up so you can see it. It tells us right there what our stab trim is. So good. That's good to know. Learn something new there. All right, we can put this one back on the nav page. There we go. And then we'll switch back to that so that when we change it'll be this one again here. Okay, that takes care of that. What's next? Recall switch, push that. TCAS is off, that makes sense. Wing and engine anti-ice is on auto. Taxi light needs to go on. And that is going to be this guy right here, no strobe light. And runway turn off lights as needed. We're not going to need those right now because it's daytime. They're used for turning. That's why they're called runway turn off lights. They're used for making your turns so you can see where you're going. Alright, that's going to take care of our before taxi checklist. And what we're going to do right now, we've already done our taxi brief. I'm going to pause for just a second like I always do. Mostly it's for video editing, just so you guys know, but I'm going to go ahead and pause for a second. I'll come back. We'll start our taxi and go into our departure brief. Alrighty folks, we are good to go. We're going to start our taxi here. Track iron's coming on a little jump. There it is. Let me grab my throttles here. Let's take those brakes off. They are. Little throttle coming in. Let's get her moving here. One thing I've noticed about this aircraft is they did a much better job with the ground friction. Right, so once you get it going, you really don't need a lot of thrust to keep it moving. It moves quite well. So something to keep in mind when you're flying this aircraft. You don't need a whole lot of thrust. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of that departure briefing, please. Alright, we are flying the BROAC 1R nav departure today, and most of our information is really just going to come from the narrative portion up here. But real quick overview, it's to Sparky, then BROAC, out here to Foothills, then Juniper, Joshua, and then for us it's out to Maxo. So for runway 7 left, right, or runway 8, which we're on 8 obviously, we're going to climb on heading 078 degrees to 1,635 feet, which you may have seen in our FMC. Then direct to Sparky, which is right out here, and then a slight left turn direct to BROAC here. And then we'll go on from there. So down here in our routing it says from BROAC on track 059 to Foothills, then on transition, maintain 8,000 feet and expect a higher altitude 3 minutes after departure. So we're going to climb to 8,000, we're going to hold that for a minute or two, and then we will continue on from there, assuming we have higher altitude permission at that point. None of the rest of this really applies to us. I read through it all. We're good to go on that. So Phoenix departure is going to be on 126.8. The airport elevation is 1,135 feet, and our transition altitude here in the U.S. is 18,000 feet. Alrighty, that was a nice long taxi. I noticed there's a couple of scenery glitches with this scenery. There's a couple of buildings that are floating where the terrain just seems to have disappeared beneath them. They're level where they're supposed to be, but the terrain's gone. And then when you cross the bridges on Sierra and Tango taxiways, you can see through them. You can see the pillars down there. It looks really weird, but other than that, it looks fantastic. So let's take care of our before takeoff checklist here. Landing lights need to come on. That'll, well, we're going to be pulling on the runway here in a sec. Let's do this. Let's take care of our transponder first. Let's make sure we got no traffic coming. There's transponder. And see, we've got an aircraft right there. He's about to land. So once he's gone, where's he at? Let's see if we can see him. There he is. Well, there's a whole bunch of them. There's a whole host of them. So, we'll give him a minute here, but either way, then it's going to be landing lights, strobe lights. We'll start the clock as we pull out, and then ARM, LNAV, and VNAV, and the auto throttle's already on, so we should be good to go. So he's landing. One of those guys is going to do a go-around for sure because they're right on top of each other. They might even both do a go-around. So let's give it just a second here. Normally I'd just break away because this can take forever, but the guy who just landed is probably a little close for either one of these guys to land. I mean, if we look down there, he's still on the runway, so he should be doing a go-around. There he goes. And he should be doing a go-around because he's too close anyway. And there he goes. Fantastic. Track IR coming on a little jump here. Or not. Track IR seems to have crapped out on me. Okay, I guess I'll be back in a second either way. Okay, I think we got track IR working now. Little jump here. There it is. Fantastic. Landing lights coming on. Runway turn-off lights. And strobe lights. I think wing lights are supposed to be on too, to be honest with you. But anyway, let's double check. Oh, come on. Where did he come from? I didn't even see him on there. I moved my head really fast, didn't I? Okay, well, as soon as he passes us, we'll pull onto the runway here and we'll get lined up. Alright, line up and wait. Position and hold. Just line up and wait now, right? It used to be position and hold, but they changed it. I forget why. Somebody told me once too, but I forgot. Alright. This way, at least any other traffic coming in.
08.
That's the RAS, Runway Advisory and Alert System. Any other traffic, if it comes in or pops in, should go around because of us. Okay, we've got everything set. Lights are on. Everything's good to go. I've got the throttles cut all the way back. This is what I was talking about. The ground friction is much better on this one
runway 08
than it is on some of the other models. Because I've got the throttles cut and I made that turn and I barely lost any of my momentum. So, okay, let's come to a stop here. Wait till he clears the runway. We've done our before takeoff checklist, so we're ready to go. So it's just a matter of him getting out of the way. Waiting on you, buddy. Boy, they are slow at exiting the runway, aren't they? He's not quite clear. He's got to cross. There's a line there. You got to wait till he's across that line. It's to make sure your wingspan doesn't clip him. That would be bad. And then look, there's a vehicle crossing the runway. He's like, oh, I'll just go now. I think we're good to go here. Let's bring the throttles up and stabilize at about 50%. And bring in the toga. I love the sound of these engines. On V1.
V1. Rotate.
Rotate.
V2.
There she is. Positive rate of climb gear coming up. And flaps to 1 already. We're not super heavy. Following that flight director there. Oh yeah, we'll hit our decel here pretty soon. You'll hear the engines roll back just a little bit. There they go. We're down just a little here. Nice. Oh, I mentioned it in the departure brief. 8,000 feet is that altitude we need to go to. I did set that on the MCP in case anybody was wondering. All right, flaps all the way up. And we don't want to go past 250. Oh, there she goes. Sometimes, for whatever reason, this 777, it seems like the Yoke responds pretty slow. I think I need to change my settings a little, to be honest with you. Because I feel like I'm yanking on it pretty hard and it doesn't move, or I'm pushing on it pretty hard. I think you maybe need to just kind of hold it in position for a couple of seconds. Not entirely sure. And there's our left turn there. It does make landings challenging. Very challenging, in fact, in this aircraft. Okay, we're coming up, getting close to 8,000. Let's go ahead and put the autopilot on. It's that switch or that switch. So she should come up to 8,000 on her own, following the LNAV and the VNAV. It should maintain 250. Flaps are all the way up. They are indeed. All right, track hour coming off. There's our little jump. And let's take care of our after takeoff checklist. Hold on, big cough. All right, fantastic. After takeoff checklist, landing gear is up, auto brake needs to be off, which it went off automatically, that's good. All right, she's coming up to 8,000, it's gonna level out, that's fantastic. We're gonna maintain that while we go through this checklist, and then we'll change our altitude. Once we get above 10,000 feet, landing lights will come off. Not worried about seatbelt signs and transition altitude. Don't forget to set standard once you get above 18,000. All right, and with that in mind, let's roll this on up to 350. Now, if I remember correctly, you have to find that little pointer finger and push it. There we go. And it'll maintain 250 until it gets above 10,000. But at this point, we're going to assume we got clearance to our next assigned altitude. And away she goes. And with that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, as we continue our climb, that means it is time for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alright, let's take a look at this arrival briefing here. We're going to be coming in at the Little Rock VOR, transition onto the arrival. From there, it's 061 degrees to Joe Matt, then Evelyn, and then a right turn to 095 to Condor, I was going to say Convoy for some reason, Condor, and then to J. Fred. Some altitude restrictions here. We need to be at or above flight level 160, or that's not flight level there, it's 16,000 feet. And then at Evelyn, we need to be at 14,000 feet. That's why there's a line above and below. And then at Condor, we need to be at 250 knots, and we need to be between 7 and 10,000 feet. And then at J. Fred, we need to be at 210 knots and at 6,000 feet. Quick look here at our routing. It says from over Condor, on track 096 to J. Fred, then on track 096, and expect radar vectors to final approach. And that's what these little tiny arrows here mean, radar vectors. Now for us, it's going to be runway 27 based on our wind, which is 220 at 9 knots. Runway 27 is the top runway here in the opposite direction that we'll be flying. So we're going to need to get vectors that are going to take us out and around to fly the ILS for runway 27. HOTAS is going to be on 127.75. The airport elevation is 341 feet. Alrighty folks, we're about 50 nautical miles from the top of descent, so we want to go ahead and take care of our descent checklist. First thing we're going to do is hop down here, take care of our FMC, go to our departure and arrival page, and we are, let's see, our arrival should already be in there. It's Condor 3, and we're going to be taking the ILS for runway 27, this guy right here. And transition will be at KMEM. We'll probably have to add some other waypoints in there, but that's alright. Execute that, go to our legs page, and you can see Condor, J. Fred, that's all arrival, and then it's vectors to KMEM, so we'll see how that goes. And then there's a hold at KMEM. We're not going to be holding there. I'm not sure why there's a hold set up automatically, but that's alright. I'll work around that and we'll make it work. It'll be fine. Okay, moving on. We do want to go to our initial reference page, and then we're going to land flaps 30, 144 knots. So we'll click that and then put it in there, and that gives us our VREF. Transition altitude, that'll be at 18,000 feet. Wing and engine anti-ice will be auto. Recall switch push. Let's jump up here so we can see it. Recall, we are good to go on that. Auto brake as required. I think we've got plenty of runway length here, so I'm not worried about that. Landing data we've already taken care of, and then the approach briefing is what's coming up next. So what it doesn't say on here, which I think it should, is that you need to reset your MCP altitude. Now you'll see, I already checked it. You'll see on our arrival briefing that we've got some altitude restrictions, and those are all programmed in here. And then our intercept for the glide slope is going to be at 3,000 feet. So with that in mind, I'm going to change this, our MCP altitude, to 3,000 feet, if I can actually get on it. There we go. And it'll start the descent automatically on its own. Actually, now that I think about it, we already did the arrival briefing because I recorded the space for that a little while ago. So you've had your arrival briefing, you know what, you know that it's 3,000 feet, so no problem there. So all that's left to do is wait for the descent, which is, let's see here, it shows us, I'll pop it up for you. 34 miles. I'm not going to stay on here for 34 nautical miles, but once we're on the descent, we'll come back on here and we'll take a look at the approach briefing. Alright, it's going to be the ILS runway 27 approach for us today. HOTAS is on 127.75. Memphis approach is going to be 125.8. No, I think we're going to be 119.1. We'll see. We're running on landing on runway. We're not running on anything. We're landing on runway 27. So our tower frequency is going to be 118.3, and then ground control on 121.0. The localizer frequency is 108.7 with a final approach course of 273 degrees. Glide slope intercept at Claiborne. I'm not sure what the shorter version is supposed to mean there. And decision altitude 492 feet. Airport elevation is 341 feet. We're going to come in out here at Covum. We need to be at 3,000 feet when we get there. We'll descend down to 1,900 feet to intercept the glide slope at Claiborne. And then it's pretty much on in from there. We got PAPI lights on the right hand side. My throat needs to be cleared as always. What else? Missed approach procedures. If we have to execute a missed approach, we're going to climb to 5,000 feet and intercept the MEM or Memphis VOR 285 degree radial to the Gowrie intersection, which is 17 miles from the Memphis VOR, and hold. We'll continue to climb in the hold until we get to 5,000 feet. And we can see what that looks like. It's basically straight out. So here's the Memphis VOR, here's the 285 degree radial. So we'll climb straight out until we intercept that, and then it would be a right turn until we hit 17 nautical miles, which would put us at the Gowrie intersection. Does that make sense to everybody? Pretty sure it does. You can see the little graphic of that here as well. Straight to 5,000 feet, and radial 285 from the Memphis VOR, which that's the frequency, and then hold at Gowrie. And that's pretty much the gist of our approach. I don't think I missed anything crucial there, so here we go. Alrighty folks, we are on our downwind leg of our approach here. You can see we're starting a descent. It's going to take it down to probably 3,000. Let's see here. Yeah, it's going to take it down to 3,000 for Covum. I've given us a 5 mile, I can't clear my throat today, little 5 mile berth here of separation. So let me show you that real quick. So we're offset about 5 miles from our final approach course, and we are on vectors right now. You may remember that from the arrival briefing. So with all that being said, what we're going to do here is we're going to take care of our approach checklist really quick, which strangely doesn't include gear or flaps, and then we will get set up for the actual approach here. So, excuse me, before landing checklist, below 10,000 feet, the landing lights need to be on, which they are, and speed brakes need to be armed. Let's go ahead and take care of that. So for me, I just use shift and tab, and that makes sure I don't overshoot it. I can actually use the lever, but I don't. Seatbelt signs are on, and altimeters are set. Real quick, I'm just going to double check the weather here. Altimeter 2990, and that's what we got set on here. You can't pop that one up. 2990. So we're going to go on that. So what I want to do here is we are actually tracking 093, but our heading is 096, and that's because of the wind. So what we're going to do here is right when we're about even with Covum, we're going to make a left turn 90 degrees. Now the wind is going to be pretty much straight behind us. Now right now I know it's a straight crosswind, but the wind on the ground is predicted at 220, and it's gusting between 9 and 18 knots. So it should be interesting. There is weather coming in, and it's been a little bumpy up to this point. Either way, we'll make our left turn here shortly. Once we're even with Covum, we're going to turn 90 degrees to the left, and we're going to activate our localizer. Actually, we won't activate our localizer until we make our next turn. So 90 degrees to the left is going to put us at 003. And the reason I'm doing that is the only reason we're at 96 degrees, but tracking 93 is because of this crosswind. But that wind's going to be directly behind us once we make this turn. So we need to actually turn to 003 degrees. Does that make sense to everybody? I'm sure it does. That being said, with that tailwind, we're going to have to pay attention because we're going to be ready for our turn towards final pretty quick as well. You can see she's holding at 4,000 feet. And we're just about ready to make that turn here. I want to just give just enough separation, enough, we want to pass it just like till it's almost dead even with us. And that way, as we make the turn, we come out away from it a little bit, so we're not trying to make some crazy big sharp turn right in. Now at our speed, 224 knots, which the speed actually just picked itself up, should be at 210 right now, I believe. Let's take over the speed real quick and bring it down to 210. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and start our turn. 003 is what we're looking for. And we're going to be making our next turn relatively quick. And it's really easy when you do this stuff on autopilot. It's a lot harder if you try to fly it by hand. Let's bring the zoom down on this. So you can see it's not going to be long before we need to make that turn. And what we can do also is we can go here, we can say our next waypoint is going to be Covum. We're not going to hold there, right? So let's grab Covum, put it where Vectors is, and you can see that gives us that little line right there, right? So if I wait just a few seconds here, let us finish our turn. I don't usually like, well, I pop these up all the time, never mind. So let's finish our turn and then we'll do it again, and that'll tell us how well it's going to track in on that, right? It's kind of a, I don't know if it's a cheater way to do it or if that's the way they do it in real life. I have no idea. But either way, so Covum, replace Vectors. So you can see that we'd be turning a little early. I am curious, will this line move with us? It looks like it is, actually. So let's execute that. Bam. Get rid of that, and let's go back to LNAV. Ooh, look at that. That was just about perfect. And then we'll hit the localizer, and it immediately grabbed it. So that's good. Let's see. It changed our heading for us to 273. See that? Yeah, fantastic. All right, everything's looking pretty good here. So we're going to be coming up on Covum, and then between Covum and Claiborne is 6 miles and a descent down to 3,000 feet. We're controlling the speed right now. It's saying on here it wants us at 170 at Claiborne. We're going to be descending when we do that. So rather than fighting with the descent, let's go ahead and bring this down to 180 now. Let's keep an eye on our flaps as well. We're already on flaps 5. Our next flap setting we can go to now if we want, but we don't need to quite yet. I'm going to go here, let it just start slowing down. There we go. It's looking good. It's a little choppy coming in here. It did that as we were passing it too, right before I started recording. Let's go ahead and bring in next flap setting there. I'm not going to lower the gear until we capture the glide slope. However, we will switch from VNAV to approach mode here shortly. Let's just let her settle down to 3,000 feet. And then our VREF speed was 143 knots. Alright, so 143 plus 5 is going to put us at 148. So keep that in mind. You can see we got nothing but a straight crosswind right now. The weather on Active Sky still says it's between 140 and 220. You can't win for losing on that. So it's going to be a rough landing. This will be my first landing doing a flight for Mac Air in like 2 years. About 2 years, 2.5 years. So hopefully it's not too bad as far as the landing rate is concerned, right? Okay, we're looking pretty good there. Let's go ahead and hit the approach mode. Here's our glide slope indicator, this little guy right here. So it should hold 3,000 feet until that lines up, and then it should, I'll pop this up again. I gotta pop this one up. You can see here, glide slope or GS is in white, which means of course that it hasn't intercepted it yet, but it is armed. And there it's grabbed the glide slope now, and you can see it's starting the descent. So let's go ahead and move this down to 148. I hope it's not too choppy coming in here. I remember last time we landed here, it was terrible. Gear coming down, that'll help slow us down a little bit as well. We know our spoilers are armed, it tells us right here. Alright, looking good. Speed's coming down, next setting of flaps coming in. Nice, looking good. We're at flaps 15. Let that speed come down a little more. We can bring in the rest of the flaps now. I'm just letting the aircraft settle. You don't want to bring them in too fast. Oh, you know what? I'm hitting the wrong. I changed the switches I use for flaps and gears, so I keep hitting the gear switch. That would explain the problem. All right, there's flaps 20, and bring in our final flap setting here. We're not. Oh, that's 25. Sorry, we got one to go. Alright, let the rest of the flaps come in. We're not using auto brakes on this. We've got plenty of runway to work with, and we're not flying very fast. Let's get our view proper here. Track IR coming on, a little jump. There it is, and I'm just going to let it track in for a minute. Let the aircraft settle. You can see the wind change now, right? There's our wind, and you can see it's gusty as crazy. So this should be fun. It will auto land if I let it right now. That's not going to happen. You see the wind died off and then it sped up. So we will be leaving the auto throttle on. Ooh, come on, baby.
1,000.
Alright, we're looking pretty good. I'm not seeing our PAPI lights out there. They're supposed to be out there. Alright, let's go ahead and let's take the autopilot off. I got it set to 1 click. Oh, she's a little choppy there.
Approaching 27.
Alright, final approach checklist then. Gear is down, lights are on. We're good. Oh, she's dropping there. She's dropping. Oh, there we go. Alright. Let the auto throttle do its thing. We're going to need it. There's the PAPI. You can barely see them, though. They're not very clear. On the left side, you guys probably can't make them out at all in the video. That choppiness is kind of crappy.
400.
Alright, let's take her in and listen to our call-outs. Let's hope it doesn't get too choppy.
Minimums. Minimums.
Continue. Wow, that choppiness is terrible.
$100. Terrain. 50. 40. 30.
Way too high on the landing.
20. 10.
Oh my goodness, talk about floating it. Come on. Woo! That was terrible.
4,000 feet remaining. 3,000 feet remaining.
Alright, below 80 knots, bring the reversers off. Oh, that was not my finest landing at all, folks. In fact, that landing was pretty terrible. This runway is not very... It's bumpy, isn't it? Let me just pop up my A-cars over here. Landing rate, negative 139. That's not that bad, actually. My average is 138, negative 138, so... Probably not my smoothest landing, but boy, we landed long, didn't we? That is one thing that I kind of dislike a little about the 777. You gotta actually catch the switch there. Strobes can come off. There we go. For some reason, I feel like I'm fighting with it a lot. Like it responds slowly because of the what do you call it? Because of the fly-by-wire, which is kind of strange. Alright, let's take a look at our after landing checklist here. Landing lights are off, strobe lights are off, taxi lights is on. See if it continues to turn here. It's slowing down a bit. Oh my goodness, come on. I need to... Okay, there we go. Turned that a little tight, didn't I? That's alright, we'll go nice and slow here for a minute. Okay, APU selector switch needs to go on. That's all the way up here. Start the APU. Alright, that's coming up. Wing and engine anti-ice is still on auto. We're good there. Auto brake is off. Spoilers need to go down. There we go. She's slowing down just a little bit. Bringing just a touch of throttle there. Speed brakes. We took care of those. Flaps need to come all the way up. I just use a button for flaps. It's easier. Okay, flaps are up. Transponder mode needs to go to standby. There we go. And that takes care of our after landing checklist. Yep, that takes care of it. So I'm going to taxi in here, and I will see you guys when we're ready to shut down. Alrighty guys, as you can see, we're about to pull in here. We turn those taxi lights off. Alright, that was a little quick on my head turn there, I apologize. So we do have a marshaller over there. Let's see if we can see him all the way in. Alright, here we go. I had to have a follow me because I had no idea where this parking space was. It is so choppy. There's something about this scenery. I'm gonna have to take another look at the settings and see if I can find a way to tune it up a little bit so it's not so choppy. Alright, we're looking pretty good here. Alright. Straight in. There we go. Keep moving, come on. She's almost out of juice. And come on, so close. Wonder how accurate that is. Is he gonna cross him? There we go. Might have overshot it just a hair. I don't know. We'll take a look here in a minute. Alright, parking brake coming on. Fantastic. Track IR coming off. I do apologize for the choppiness. Nothing I can really do about it, to be honest with you. Okay, APU is on, so first thing we want to do on shutdown, parking brake is set, taxi light is already off, left and right engine fuel control both off. There we go, both those coming off. APU will keep the power on for now. Seatbelt signs can go off. Not that it matters, it's just us in here, right? No passengers. Beacon light can go off. That's that one there. Nav light, it says to stay on. C1, let's hop up top here. Oh, it is hot in this little room. C1 and 2 air demand hydraulic pump selectors off. That's these two here. Off. And then left, let's see, it's going to be the left demand is going to be off, then C1 and C2 electric, then right demand. So off, off, off. There we go. Left and right fuel pump switches off. 2, 3, and 4. Flight director switches can go off. And we'll need to end our flight here shortly as well. APU selector switch as needed. So that will let me take care of stopping my flight here. This is ACARS for those of you who haven't seen it before. So we'll stop the flight at this point. The PIREP is ready, and I'm going to move it over here and click on File PIREP. And the reason I moved it over there is because if it took a minute, which it didn't, but if it took a minute, I didn't want to have it frozen right here. Make sense to everybody? Okay, so that takes care of our shutdown checklist. Now let's look at our secure checklist. Hopping back up top here, the ADARU or IRS system needs to come off. Emergency exit lights need to go off. Right click once and then right click the little switch in there. Left and right pack control switches off. 1 and 2. APU selector switch off. That's this guy here. And then battery off. And that shuts her down. Yep, I overshot it just a little bit. Well, folks, that's, you know what, let me, while we're talking here, activate ground services, and we need to request deboarding. And then what I can do if I want, hop in here, hold the menu key down until it comes on, go to FS Actions, make sure that our wheel chocks are set. Let's go ahead and we'll put some ground power on for the moment, and that way we can open our doors. So we'll need to disarm that one, open that one, open that one, and open those 3 there. Now that's a better way to close out if you ask me, except that GSX is driving right through its own pieces of equipment there, but well, you can't have everything, can you? Well, folks, that's going to wrap it up for this one. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. As always, if you haven't already done so, go ahead and take a smash on that subscribe button for me. Like I said, I'm hoping that we can get above 10,000 by the end of the year. I think that would just be brilliant. I love you guys. You're fantastic. My subscribers are just as awesome as they come, and I really appreciate it. Don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. If you want to see more of this content right here, you know, flying the 777 cargo route, especially with the Mac Air ACARS, give it a thumbs up, guys. The more thumbs up I get in a video, the more likely I am to repeat a similar video, with the exception of our Life of a Virtual Airline Pilot, Life of a Virtual Cargo Pilot, all that stuff. Those are going to continue eventually anyway, but just for random videos like this, you know, the more thumbs up I get, the better it's going to be. And I think that's going to wrap it up, folks. There's nothing else for us to do except to say goodbye. So, goodbye. No, I won't close like that. Folks, you have a fantastic day. As always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC.